Hey folks, I'm Chris Vallillo and welcome to Hickory Ridge Concerts Virtual. Now for those of you that have seen our show before, you know I've kind of broken tradition here and I've opened up with a little bottleneck slide version of the Battle Cry of Freedom rather than our usual theme song. Well, I got a reason for that. Our headline performer tonight is Scott Ainsley, and he is a master of acoustic bottleneck slide guitar, especially the blues. And I really wanted to have a little something to kind of connect with him on. Now, that being said, you know, I always open up the show with a song of my own. And I got talking with Scott during our sound check earlier this week. You know, he has studied the blues to a degree that is just phenomenal. He is of the tradition, as I like to say. And we got to talking about his experiences learning this music, and I asked him if he had studied with some of the masters. And he told me no, he'd actually learned from everyday players. And that really struck a chord with me because, you know, this is basically the soundtrack of America, roots music. And while people like Robert Johnson broke the water, it was everyday players that kept that tradition alive. And it brought to mind a song of mine that I had written about my experiences doing folklore work back in the 1980s. And an old fiddle player named Homer Biedenbender that I had met one rainy afternoon. Now, normally I'd go into a fairly long story to tell you all about it, but I will tell you this. He was playing an old homemade fiddle made out of walnut he built himself, and this is his story. This is the Walnut Fiddle. This old fiddle's made of walnut from a tree down by the road that must have stood 100 years. Planted by my great-grandfather long ago when he first settled on this farm, sheltered it from harm. Last of three he set out all together in a row. So long ago, reaching up into the heavens like a hand outstretched to God, it stood the years, all the bitter tears hanging down across that highway folks would pass. They'd brush the branches and scatter the nuts those old Model A cars would crush. Every autumn one old weathered man gather 'em up into a battered truck. But then one day the prairie sky turned dark and mean, and soon the winds began to scream and howl. We hid beneath the staircase as the thunder shook the ground. When it passed, that ancient tree was down. I saw the boards, carved the body, shaved the neck. I turned these tuning pegs by hand. No, it ain't grand. Pull that bow across the strings, you'll hear the tones of cool, clear streams and whippoorwills in rolling hills. 100 years of winter snow and summer rain rings from its grain. Ain't much to look at, it's just an old black fiddle sitting there with strings of rust, all caked with rosin dust. But if you need to remember who you are and where you come from, just pick up that bow, she'll let you know. She'll sing 'em open prairie skies and older days and simpler ways. This old fiddle's made of walnut from a tree that must have stood 100 years. There you go, a Walnut Fiddle for Homer Biedenbender. I will tell you, he passed away 10 days after I interviewed him and recorded him playing that very fiddle. And that's what inspired me to write that song. Well, friends, we're so glad to have you here to share a little music and just to stay connected to one another. As you know, we always have pie with each of these events, and it's been a crazy week. So I didn't have any idea what the pie was going to be tonight, but I am proud to say I was presented this evening by my wife, Dory, with a homemade pecan pie, which I think is perfect for tonight's headline performer. Let's go ahead and bring him on screen. This is our headline guest, Scott Ainsley. I'd love to call him a friend, but I've just met him. So we'll see how that goes. Scott is a man who has studied music in a way that I like to refer to as of the tradition. He's gone back to the roots. He's learned it. He's interacted with people that still maintain those traditions and has carried them on today. So Scott, it's great to have you here. How are you doing tonight?
I'm well, thank you. Glad to be with you and your audience. It's always nice. One of the nicer things about these virtual concerts is you get to play for people you may never see. And there's a certain get out of jail free card there, but it's also
there is.
Really lovely for breaking new territory as a performer. And also I get to have 5 instruments with me instead of 2 or 3. So and I didn't have to carry them into the gig, so it's great.
I just love that. So since we brought up that subject, I know you've got a whole basket full of stuff to play. Could you give us just a quick rundown on the different instruments you might be touching on today?
Oh, sure. This is a 1931 National guitar. It came out of a pawn shop in Columbus, Georgia in the middle of the First Gulf War. It didn't have strings on it. It didn't have a tailpiece when I bought it. It required $1,500 worth of work. But it's been under my arm ever since. It's a very, very fine resonator guitar. I have 2 Froggy Bottom guitars with me, and I'll get to one of them for sure tonight, and one if we've got time. I have a gourd banjo, a fretless gourd banjo, and a diddley bow, a 1-string cigar box guitar, which is an instrument that comes into the Black South out of West Africa, where 1-string zithers, folklorists call them, are common in the area of West Africa from which our slave population was pulled. So they came in the imaginations and memories of black captives, and were probably the first stringed instruments to be built and played by Africans in this hemisphere, not just here, but also in Brazil and other parts of the New World.
Wow. Now that's an instrument that fascinates me, and we'll talk about that a little later on. Yeah. But I do know that that's essentially one of the ways that slide guitar actually developed. But rather than waste any more time talking now, let's give folks an opportunity to hear exactly what you've got to share with us. Friends, please join me in welcoming Scott Ainsley.
Thank you, Chris. Muddy Waters, in a record called Muddy Waters Folk Singer in 1968, they settled him down in a recording studio with a microphone and acoustic guitar. And he was with an electric band, a 5-piece electric band, blowing the doors off the clubs on the south side of Chicago. But they wanted to cross-market him to the folk music world. So Muddy Waters Folk Singer was born. And on that record, he plays a beautiful slide arrangement in standard tuning, which is very rare. So the guitar's in standard now. And I'm going to play My Home's in the Delta. We'll start in Mississippi with Muddy Waters. In the Delta, we're out on that farmer's road. And I'm leaving Chicago. Baby, you know I sure do hate to go. Well, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Won't be back no more. Well, I know my my little girl, she don't know what shape I'm in. I ain't had no good loving since God knows when. And I've got a funny, funny feeling, wondering where in the world had she been. Well, I feel like crying. Lord, you know the tears, they won't come down. Yeah, I feel like crying. Baby, you know the tears, they won't come down. And I've got a funny, funny feeling I'm gonna have to leave your town. Leave your town. Sound like a long distance call. Yeah, my telephone is ringing. Baby, you know it sound like a long distance call. And the voice in the receiver says, look out, man. Some other mule has been kicking in your stall. Bad news. Well, my home's in the desert, well, out on that farmer's road. And I'm leaving Chicago. Baby, you know I sure do hate to go. Well, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Won't be back, I said I won't be back no more. Yeah, Muddy Waters. Now, we're going to go from the loudest instrument to the littlest one. When I worked in North Carolina with older black players, mostly men, a few women, born between 1900 and 1930, I said, you know, what was your first instrument? I thought they might have played a harmonica or a banjo or fiddle, guitar, mandolin, you know, one of the folk sort of instruments. And 9 out of 10 of them said they played a cigar box guitar. And I had no idea what they were talking about. But I asked a lot of questions. And this is the only one I ever actually had made out of a cigar box. These are cool. You can, if I can get it open, you can store stuff in here. Very handy instrument to have. I used a pool cue instead of a broomstick for the neck, which is a modern adaptation. I can take the string off this and unscrew the neck right there and break it in 2 pieces and put it in a suitcase. It goes to Europe with me. It flies when I go. And I thought I was going to make it and play it for 5 minutes and throw it away. I mean, 1 string, what can you do? But it turns out there's a lot more fun in one of these than I thought. Set up a rhythm in one hand. Play another note and rhythm with the other hand. You put these 2 together, you get 1, 2. Add a little slide. Well, I rolled and I tumbled, I cried the whole night long. Yes, I rolled and I tumbled, I cried the whole night long. When I woke up this morning, my biscuit roller gone. Well, I went to the the mountain, it burned my eyes to see. Yes, I went to the mountain, it burned my eyes to see. Some other man got my woman, and these lonesome blues got me. Play one. Well, I folded my arms and I slowly walked away. Yes, I folded my arms and I slowly walked away. And I said to myself, your trouble gonna come someday. Well, run here, baby, sit down on my knees. Said, run here, baby, sit down on my knees. I want to tell you all about the way they treated me. Tell you about the way they treated me. Who knew? So much fun. In the beginning, of course, God created the groove, and she saw that it was good, and she rested. Now, the next instrument I've got for you today is a little fretless gourd banjo built for me by a friend named David Beatty down in Florida. David makes a variety of instruments, and he made this one for me. It's a little, the gourd was growing between two boards in Georgia 10 or 15 years ago to become a banjo. This is its highest incarnation. And it always sounds so African to me. So I have it in a tuning that actually comes out of West Africa. It's not a banjo tuning from West Africa, but the scale it's the minor pentatonic scale. I only fret one of the 5 notes I have all the other notes on open strings. This is a scale all the old blues are sung in. They're African melodies with European chords, and all the old spirituals are also sung in this scale. So I thought I'd sing you one of those. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning, your lamp trimmed and burning, your lamp. See what the Lord has done. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning, your lamp. See what the Lord has done. Ain't gonna tell, nobody gonna tell, nobody gonna tell what the Lord has done for me. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning, your lamp. See what the Lord has done. Don't you get worried, you don't get worried, you don't. See what the Lord has done. Keep your lamp trimmed and burned in your lamp. See what the Lord has done. See what the Lord has done. Keep your lamp trimmed and burned in your lamp. See what the Lord has done. Keep your lamp trimmed and burned in your lamp. See what the Lord has done. Yeah, a little clawhammer banjo. This little gourd banjo, it sounds so great, doesn't it? And when I got it up in this tuning when it came in the house, I thought, boy, that sounds like a kora. The big African gourd harp, you know, a gourd the size of a beach ball, a 4-foot neck, 21 strings, really complicated instrument. Now, I've always wanted a kora, but I've never bought one for the same reason I never tried cocaine. I had friends who liked cocaine, and it cost them, you know, dearly. And I know that if I bought a kora, I would spend the next 2 years in the basement learning how to play it, and in the process I would lose my wife, my house, all my money. You just have to know your limits on these things, and so no cocaine, no chorus. Don't send me one. But I love the sound, and so I tried to get those rhythms from that instrument onto this, knowing that they're nylon strings. So they were strung with fishing line before that palm frond fibers were wrapped into strings. And a skin head and no frets, just this great, just sounded like Africa. So I wrote a song to see how close we could get the spirituals and blues melodies of America with the rhythms of the kora. On Thunder's Mouth. If anybody asks you about me, if anybody asks you about me, if anybody asks you about me, tell them I'm traveling on. Well, the boss man yelling hurry all the time. Yeah, the boss man yelling hurry all the time. Well, the boss man afraid he'll lose his job. I'm afraid I can't lose mine. So meet me by the willow tree. Yeah, meet me by the willow tree. Well, meet me by the willow tree. When the moon is dark, and we'll make our way to a better land. We'll make our way to a better land. We'll make our way to a brighter land where no one will know he's gone. So if anybody asks you about me, yeah, if anybody asks you about me, if anybody asks you about me, tell them I'm traveling on. David Beatty, thank you for this little instrument. Been good company for me for a long time. Okay. Now those African rhythms I really love, and I got interested. I was listening to Central and South, Central and West African guitar recordings of field recordings of African guitarists in the 1950s, playing on acoustic guitars, and they're using a Western instrument, but they're using like Africans. It just sounded different. Play the same chords we play, but they just sounded so different. I thought I need to know more about this. I do programs in educational settings on the African roots of American music, and I thought, I should know more about this. And one second here. So I'm listening to these recordings, and they're made on guitars that are strung with fishing line, and roughly made instruments. No sustain, just the notes die the minute you play them. And I thought, here I am on this national guitar with all this sustain, and I need to kill the sound. So I'm putting a piece of paper under the string that has to be the right size. So I'm adjusting it. I should have done this beforehand, but this is the beauty of live theater, right? And so we're just going to kill the resonance of the strings. And it pops these rhythms out. I originally wrote this song as a fairly sad D minor blues. The music was sad, minor key, and the words were sad. And I thought, oh boy, this is sad. And when I came to time to make Thunder's Mouth, I thought, I need to do something about this. This song is too sad. I can't deal with it. And I've been playing all this African stuff, playing along with these African grooves and getting some rhythms in my right hand. So I rewrote the song. It turns out in West Africa, even the sad songs sound like this. I'll take it if my stuff will fit, or maybe I'll just get rid of it. I need a place to call home, a little place of my own. Should get over this, should make the pieces fit. I should get over this. From this window I see it's just a game. All the kids out playing stickball in the rain, and no one keeping score. Could ask for more. I should get over this. Can't make the pieces fit. I should get over this. Give me a minute, give me an hour, maybe a lifetime. Give me an hour, maybe a lifetime. I'll have the power. I should get over this. Can't make the pieces fit. I should get over this. loose. The gods don't listen to me. We all break the rules. It's just a matter of degree. I want you back again. Your name is written on my skin. I should get over this. Can't make the pieces fit. I should get over this. Such a groove. Thanks a lot. Paper under the strings. My latest record is a record called The Last Shot Got Him, which is the second line of a John Hurt tune called The First Shot Missed Him. And it's all recorded on a little wooden Gibson guitar, and from 1934. And it's got a lot of Mississippi John Hurt on it and other things. I was just sort of letting the guitar choose the songs for the record. And there were certain things that it liked, you know, and it was mostly songs from when it was just a young thing. In 1934 guitar, you know, well, music between 1928 and 1941, basically, with the exception of one song that I wrote. And in that style. And one of the songs the guitar liked was a song that I heard Sippy Wallace sing years ago, an Irving Berlin tune. Now, I never, ever thought Irving Berlin was going to make my set lists. But when I heard Sippy sing this song, and if you don't know Sippy's name, you'll know Bonnie Raitt's name. And Bonnie brought Sippy out of retirement. Sippy was a torch singer and songwriter in the 1920s. She wrote Woman Be Wise, which Bonnie cut on her first record. And Bonnie put her in the recording studio, took her out on the road when she was an old lady, and just really, really spoiled her. And boy, she was a sassy singer. And when I heard her sing this in her old age, in one of the sessions Bonnie had produced, I just thought, boy, what a song that is. So this is Say It Isn't So. You can tell it's an old song because it does this twice at the top. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. Everybody's saying that you don't love me. Say it isn't so. Everywhere I go, seem like everyone I know whispers you're growing tired of me. Say it isn't so. Somebody's saying that you found somebody new, and it won't be long before you leave me. Say it isn't true. Just say everything is still okay. That's all I want to know. And what they're saying, say it isn't so. Say it isn't so, babe. Everywhere I go, seem like everyone I know whispers you're growing tired of me. Say it isn't so. Somebody said that you found somebody new, and it won't be long before you leave me. Say it isn't true. Just say everything is still okay. That's all I want to know. And what they say it isn't so. What they say it isn't so. Irving Berlin, Lord have mercy. Who knew? So I had a friend suggest to me a song that I recorded a long time ago, Terry in Florida, and Terry, I thought I'd sing it for you, and we can look into guitar lessons about this arrangement down the road. But a couple of Sam Cooke tunes, bless his heart, right? If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. I tried to treat you right, but you stayed out every night. Won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. I bring you jewelry and money too, but that ain't all I would do for you. Won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, won't you bring it to me? Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. R&B in the hands of a blues guy, but there you go. And staying with Sam in 1963, a very, very bad year for the country. Sam wrote this tune, and he was afraid to release it. It became a civil rights anthem after his death. It was released 14 days after he was killed by a motel owner in L.A. But he bet the farm on this track. He got a symphony orchestra. He got charts. He got French horns. I mean, you hear the original track, it's like holy mackerel. And he just committed himself to the spirit of the song and had no real idea what this song would do for us. We live in strange times, so this is a song for us now too, right? I was born by the river in a little town, and just like that river, baby, I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. I've been too long living, and I'm afraid to die. No telling what's waiting up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. When I go to the movies, Laura, I go downtown. Somebody always telling me, son, best not to hang around. It's been a long, long time coming, but change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. And I went down to see my brother. Said, brother, help me if you please. And he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there've been times I didn't think I was gonna last this long, but somehow these days just got to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. It's been a long, long time coming, but change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. I have a little slide guitar here. We're getting to the end of about 15 minutes left. That's good. Tearing through the tunes. You know, when you don't have applause and people to look at and talk to, feedback of the crowd, this goes faster, you know, which is great. Don't do this on your wooden guitars. Open A tuning. When Robert Johnson was recording, he was grabbing pieces of the existing repertoire and adapting them to his own brilliant way of playing. And He took the melody for this tune from the Mississippi Sheiks hit "Sitting on Top of the World," 1927, I think. Huge hit in the Delta. Went right into country music. The melody went right into blues as well. And Robert used it for this incredibly beautiful love song. The woman I love took from my best friend. Some joker got lucky, stole her back again. You better come on in my kitchen, 'cause it's going to be raining outdoors. Well, she's gone. I know she won't come back. I've taken her last nickel out of her nation's sack. You better come on in my kitchen, 'cause it's going to be raining outdoors. When a woman gets in trouble, everybody throws her down. Looking for a good friend, one can't be found. You better come on in my kitchen, 'cause it's going to be raining outdoors. Winter time is coming, it's gonna be snow. You can't make the winter, babe, just dry along so. You better come on in my kitchen, 'cause it's going to be outdoors. Can't you hear that wind howl? Listen to that wind outside. You better come on in my kitchen, 'cause it's going to be raining outdoors. Johnny Shines, traveling with Robert Johnson the last couple of years of Robert's life, said that they played that one night very slowly. At the end of the night, the dancers are all collapsed, and they played it slower than they normally did. And when they finished, nobody clapped. There was nothing happened. And Johnny said they looked up a little bit surprised, and Shines said everyone was crying, the women and the men. That's a remarkable thing in a juke joint in Mississippi. It's a shame we weren't all there. So this last tune in this set is the Crossroad Blues, and this is a tune that Eric Clapton made famous with Cream, of course. Maybe the first hearing of any of Robert Johnson's material was there, you know, and it's a song about hitchhiking, not being able to get a ride home, getting stuck on the side of the road when the sun went down. This was college kid stuff for me when I was in college. I mean, I have a car. In 1974, I bought a 1962 Carmen Ghia my senior year at Washington and Lee University. $300. 36 horsepower. Everything I owned fit in that car when I bought it. And it cornered like a Frisbee. It was a great car. But before I got that, I hitchhiked around the South a good bit, and it could be boring, but it never felt life-threatening to me. But if you're a black person out after dark, there were sundown curfews all over the South, and when Robert Johnson recorded this tune, and for 120 years before, there had been a sundown curfew on blacks in Mississippi. So if you're out traveling, you have to get off the roads when the sun goes down. If the Klan or the local sheriff or the landowners, white landowners, usually interchangeable personalities anyway. If those people find you, you're in a lot of trouble. So there's a lot of talk about the devil at the crossroads. It turned out this was not a supernatural danger, of course. It was entirely man-made. And since these guys are marching around our country now acting like they have a right to do it, you know, this one's for them, right? Crossroad, I fell down on my knees. I went to the crossroad, I fell down on my knees. Asked the Lord above for mercy on a poor boy, if you please. Standing at the crossroads, I tried to flag a ride. I went to the crossroads, I tried to flag a ride. Didn't nobody seem to know me, everybody passed me by. Child, oh, that dark's gonna catch me here. Well, the sun's going down, child. Oh, that dark's gonna catch me here. I haven't got no loving sweet woman who loves and feels my care. Willie Brown. Yeah, you can run. Tell my friend, boy, Willie Brown. Well, that I'm standing at the crossroad, baby. I believe I'm sinking down. I went down to the crossroad. I tried to flag a ride. To the crossroad, I tried to flag a ride. Didn't nobody seem to know me, everybody passed me by. Chris, are you with us?
Oh, I am indeed. Scott, what a pleasure, man. Whew, I got to tell you, I love your technique, and the breadth of material that you're covering just blows my mind. It really does.
Oh, it's a misspent youth and now middle age. Yeah.
There you go. I'll tell you what, Brandon, give me the full screen. Give Scott a second to kind of clear his head and get reorganized. I got some housekeeping to do, and then we'll come back and visit and have some desserts together. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to our technical advisor and the gentleman who's, as I say, spinning the knobs backstage, Brandon O'Sullivan of Clover Digital. He's keeping this smooth and making this a lot more professional looking than it would be if I was trying to do it myself. Second of all, I have to thank the Two Rivers Arts Council. We're able to keep this live stream on because we were able to get a small grant from Two Rivers Arts Council because of the COVID situation. And I'm deeply appreciative to them and the Illinois Arts Council in particular. Of course, this is a free concert. You can support us through donations. There we go. Either via PayPal at paypal.me/Hickory Ridge Concerts, or you can send us a check in the mail. P.O. Box 144, Macomb, Illinois, 61455. And that's all over the chat, so you can see that at any point. And we deeply appreciate you being with us. If you can't throw some money at us, don't worry. It's more important for you to be here than it is to be supporting us financially. We're going to get through one way or another. Nobody can stretch a dollar like I can, friends. Next month, we will be presenting our February concert. And for those of you that are joining us for the first time, it's the third Saturday of the month, all year long. And it'll be February the 20th, 2021. And we will be featuring a duo from Washington State that combine jazz and roots and country influences. They are called Sunday and Mr. Gossel. And they are simply amazing musicians. And a guy that collects guitars like I like to collect guitars. I think Scott would appreciate that too. Okay, I think that's all I need to worry about right now. Let's go ahead and bring Scott back on. And for those of you that are joining us in the studio audience, I hope you are all having a piece of pie. I'm always in dreadful fear of dropping that on the computer. But as I mentioned, today I get pecan pie. And I will have the first official taste. And then really I need to talk rather than eat. But
Yeah, I'm jealous of you. I'll talk. You go ahead and eat that pie. That's good.
Oh, go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame we can't see Dory, the mother of the pies. That's a good thing.
She's probably downstairs watching.
She's probably watching something else, Chris. Maybe be honest.
Hey, allow me my little, mind.
All right, the bubble. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now we've had a lively conversation going during your set as to about the national guitar. I'm guessing it's a style O.
It is. Made in 1931.
Okay. And is this a bell brass one?
It is.
Okay. I thought maybe the sound just didn't have that steel edge to it. I know they went through different versions of those guitars.
There was a $35 version that was carbon steel and 2 coats of roofing paint and out the front door. And I have one of those as well. But it sounds like a trash can with strings compared to this guitar. This guitar just really sings.
It does, and the clarity of the notes is what really impresses me. I mean, it's just
crazy. Yeah,
it is. Now, I have a personal question for you. You are you using a commercially produced slide? Tell me about your bottleneck.
The slide I was using this evening is hand blown glass, and let's find a way to let you see the profile in the darkness of this room. It's a bullet ended slide. There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's red glass, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but it fits and it works great. It's very thick. It has a lot of mass to it, which you want for an acoustic guitar, and it gives me the sustain that I need. It's a really, really good slide. And I have one other like this, and I have a diamond slide that I use from the guys in England, from Ian McWee and those guys. And it's one of the shapes that they make that actually is really good for slide guitars. Some of those shapes are not. But I like this one. It's conically shaped. It's wider at the bullet end than it is down here. So when you go to address the string playing with it, You don't have to come as far under the guitar to get to it, because there's a little bit of slant to the conical shape to the slide. It's easier to get it to the string plane without having to push way underneath.
Okay.
It makes a great sound. I love the guitar.
Yeah. Oh, I bet it sounds wonderful. Now I'm actually using homemade ones, actual wine bottles cut off.
Yeah.
The disadvantage is that it's a sharp edge, and I really am looking for something along the lines of what you're talking about, just to try.
Well, you can knock the edges off those with a bastard file. I mean, or a little emery cloth.
Yeah, and I actually have polished them a little bit out, but I would need to do some more work. But I've always wanted a red slide. Nobody makes red wine bottles.
Right.
I have looked for many, many years. So
yeah, years ago, and Bonnie Raitt, I learned this trick from Bonnie, not personally, but a Matus bottle. It was terrible rosé, $2.50.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Throw the wine away, but break a couple of those bottles and to get one that's right. And they had straight bottlenecks, which were really, really
long
nice.
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm running about 3.25 inches of glass, which is unusually long. I was actually looking at the stuff from the England bottleneck slide makers you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have anything quite that long.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
gear.
if
We're
you ever
talking
want to get
gear.
rid of that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about music. I know that you spent a great deal of time transcribing Robert Johnson's music. You have a instructional book. Am I right? Do you have videos for this as well now?
Yeah, there's a DVD that's still in print. The book was taken out of print some years ago through. I mean, Robert Johnson did not sell his soul at the crossroads to the devil, but he did give up his publishing rights, and the book was pulled some years ago without me being properly notified. But it's available used on Amazon. If you're interested in a copy, you can write me through Cattail Music, and I can refer you to a link where you can actually find the book. It's a really good book of transcriptions, history, and footnoted lyrics, using the black idioms that Johnson used and what they meant at the time. It's a really, really good book, and I'm sad that it's out of print, but I've given up fighting to get it back in print. It's been too much of a maze. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to do it. So, but there is a DVD, which is a very good learning tool. It's a little more than an hour-long tour of Johnson's guitar techniques and styles in a variety of different keys and settings on the guitar. And it's a really good instructional DVD. It's available through Cattail Music as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's fascinating to me because, I'm self-taught. I am a mishmash of everything. But when you're playing a specific piece, I can hear that style defined the way it really makes sense to me. And I'm hearing things like Piedmont on some things. I'm hearing a lot of Delta blues on your slide playing. And you've managed to bring all of these styles together in an unusually coherent fashion. Pretty amazing, I got to say.
Well, as I said, a misspent youth and now middle age. If I'm lucky, I'll get to misspend the rest of it.
That's the name of the game. So years ago, I got an opportunity to work with Honey Boy Edwards. And I don't remember if you spoke about him during your show tonight or if that was in the sound check.
No, but I knew Honey Boy too. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Great cat.
Yeah. And talk about a connection to that moment. He was on a radio show I hosted for a long time, and I asked him, and he told the story of being with Robert the night that Robert, dies. Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, David. Go ahead. Yeah.
No. Good.
Well, he was the sweetest cat. You don't get a nickname like Honey Boy for nothing. I mean, he was so nice. And Barb and I were walking through the Baltimore Washington International Airport, BWI, and here comes Honey Boy walking down, stretching his legs between flights. And, he was probably 89 years old at the time. And I said, we need to go say hello. That's Honey Boy. And she said, okay. So we walk over and say, Honey Boy, it's Scott. And he goes, hey, man, good to see you. I don't think he knew who I was. I mean, but if you knew him, he was happy to see people. He was happy. And we talked about shaving dice and, crooked cards and he has a book that his estate will now get money from, of course, called The World Don't Owe Me Nothing. And it's his life story told into a tape recorder and then reordered by folklorists the way they did with the slave narratives, basically, the Federal Writers Project. It's a wonderful book, about 120 pages. And it just, it makes you glad you're playing blues now and not Black in 1920. I mean,
Oh man.
it's an amazing book.
Yeah.
And you just hear Honey Boy all the way through it, telling his story in his own words. It's really wonderful. I recommend
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I just imagine how those times were when you think about people in juke joints with, this is before the days of sound systems. Those resonator guitars like you're playing. I mean, that's the amplified sound that they're drinking to and partying to and dancing to, and it was not a safe environment. Nothing about it was safe.
I had a friend. The world was quieter then. There weren't any refrigerators running in those juke joints. There wasn't,
Yeah.
and you could hear one of those guitars a mile away. There were no tractor, no cars, no white noise, except the wind. And it's like those guitars, when they were first made, man, you could hear them way off. And people would come from, a mile off to come and hear the music.
Wow, that's simply amazing. Now, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. I know that you did a lot of work in, I think it was the South Carolina area.
North Carolina, mostly. Yeah.
North Carolina. Sorry, I'm in Illinois. All those Carolinas are the same.
I know they're all. Yeah, well, it turns out North Carolina is a lot cooler than South Carolina, but
okay,
it's not a get out of jail free kind of state either.
Yeah, but you were actually involved with artist in residencies and arts and education programs, which I can really see in the way that you're able to present content about the material. Could you tell us a little bit about some of your experiences doing that?
In 1986, I auditioned and was chaired into a program called the Visiting Artists Program in North Carolina, which placed professional artists of all different kinds on community college campuses and charged them to go out into the community and play music or demonstrate their art form in an educational way for any nonprofit group or organization in the service area of the county of the college. I had 4 counties that I served in eastern North Carolina, south of Norfolk, Virginia, in the tail end of the Great Dismal Swamp area. And it was a highly charged racially area. They had the largest Indian population outside of Lumberton and in central North Carolina. And they also had the largest black population in the state and were the poorest counties by far. And I was hired there as a white person to play blues and talk about dancing on thin ice, and it gave me the opportunity to go look for these older players. I made my own schedule. I wasn't allowed to settle down and teach classes at the college. My job was to go out, and so I went out into the community.
Wow.
And played all over the place, and it taught me a lot about presenting music to people who don't care about it.
That would be a fun conversation to have with you off camera.
But I played senior citizens lunch sites with 85-year-old black women. I played, the kindergarten and daycare centers. I played lunch sites. I played the Democratic Unity dinner. You name it, I played it. Rotary clubs at 6 a.m. I mean, if the union found out I was playing blues before noon, of course they would fine me. So this has to be a little secret.
Yeah.
But I played absolutely everything I could get my hands in, and it taught me a tremendous amount about standing on your feet with a guitar around your neck and holding the stage. It was a great training ground.
Oh, I bet. And to me, there is, I did some folklore work in the 80s and again in the early 2000s, and I remember thinking, I would do this for free. It was like I had been given this opportunity. Yeah. I wanted nothing more than to talk to these old-time musicians and learn their stories and watch their hands. And all of a sudden, I had not only the opportunity to do so, but basically, the credibility to knock on their door, and with hair like this, mind you, in rural Illinois. And very gradually and slowly get to know these people and get to gain their trust and get to learn that. And that's an amazing and powerful experience, I gotta say.
When you cross over into somebody else's territory that isn't yours, then if you go in with an attitude, you're in trouble from the beginning. If you go in without love and respect, you'll never get in. You can go for 20 years, they will never let you in. But if you go in with those 2 things in your heart, with humility and love for both the people and the music they make, and respect for them, you'll make it. You'll make it in. And you'll become friends, and they will change your life, and you will change theirs. And that's that's the thing about music is it doesn't care what color you are. If do you love
Yeah.
it, come on in, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, boy, that is a fact indeed. And so much of this music that you're sharing with us tonight, and I mean, we have covered a huge range of styles in your concert this evening. But I mean, so much of this music comes out of the Black tradition, is influenced by the Black tradition, and we have a huge debt to them for this music and so much of American culture. So,
Well, and buildings, I mean, they built the Capitol, they built Mount Vernon, they built, I mean, they built the place.
yeah.
So we do, and finding a way to respect that and to make room for them at the American table, which America never has,
Yeah.
is the place we're at right now. I mean, we're at a real crossroads. I didn't choose that song by accident. We're at an inflection point in our history, and we can do well, or we can turn back to the nonsense that we pulled on each other before, and it's a real open game right now. There's no telling which way it's going to go.
Yeah, it is, and I am hoping that in some small way we're shining a little light in the darkness through the music that we're all playing.
Well, music is always good. It's good
Yeah.
for us, and being together, even virtually. I mean, every
Even
point of
virtually.
contact now in the
Yeah.
isolation of the pandemic is good. And I'm
Yeah.
deeply grateful to the people who've given up part of their evening to spend it with us, and to you and to Brandon for helping make this happen. It's just a really great thing. And for you to do this for 25 years and me to just walk in
Yeah.
like I'm the hero, you've been doing this work for a long time, and I'm really grateful.
Well, thank you very much, but as have you. So let me just jump to one quick question here.
Mhm.
You've done Piedmont style, you've done swing, you've done traditional blues, you've done some original stuff. If you could choose just one of those styles, if you had to just say, I can only play one, what would it be?
Oh, it really depends on how I'm feeling. I mean, this is,
Yeah.
are you kidding? Like, what's your favorite song? Well, I got about 20 of them. It depends on what
Yeah.
mood
What
I'm
am I
in.
playing right now?
Which one serves my heart the best in this moment? And they do change. And the styles
Yeah.
are the same way. Some of them are softer, some of them are hard. And
Mm-hmm.
what I like about that is the contrast. I like
Mm-hmm.
covering a lot of territory and having it not all be the same.
Yeah.
And I like to find, when I write a song, I like to find a setting for it that suits the lyrics and the drama of the song. I was a composer. I was writing atonal chamber music in college, and took a music theory and composition degree. And so when I
nice.
go to write, I think like a composer, not like a blues guitarist or a ragtime guitarist or any kind of guitarist. I think like a composer. And then I fashion an accompaniment according to the themes and the mood and feeling of the song. So,
Sure. Yeah. Your playing supports the idea and the story that you're trying to tell through the music.
yeah.
Hey, we've got a question up here from Dean Zwerk, and he's asking. I assume it's a he. Forgive me. It could go either way with Dean in this day and age names.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the future of blues music? That's
Well,
a big question.
Well, it's not that big. I mean, blues is going to be around forever. I mean, blues
Yeah.
it's in one form or another. It's always going to be around. The trick with blues or any traditional music is to apprentice yourself to what we're offered from the tradition. And what we love changes us. And you should let the music change you before you change it. But if you don't change it, if you don't adapt it to your time, your hands, your mouth, your experience, then it will die. I mean, all you have to do is preserve one of these things in amber and then fight over the details, as some traditional musicians do. And you will strangle it. It'll go hypoxic. It will die on you. It will suffocate.
Yeah.
And so, finding a way to invest your life, your hands, your voice in this music, if you love it, and make it, and learn what you can from the old guys. But don't be afraid to, if you grew up on rock and roll as I did, don't be afraid for a little bit of that to come in.
Yeah.
But apprenticeship is good, and allowing yourself to be adapted to it before you adapt it to yourself, I think is a big deal. I'm a real believer in apprenticeships. And in coming in underneath, coming in with your hand open, rather than, I got this. There's an African proverb, the hand that gives is always above the hand that receives. So if you want to receive, you better come in like this.
Yeah.
And that openness to change and to technique and to skill and to the sound of it is a real hallmark of grounding yourself in a tradition. And then once grounded, then your job is to continue to push it and keep it alive and move it forward. It's a great, complicated question that we could duck, but that's as good an answer as I've got tonight.
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. I do a lot of historic music, and I've always tried to respect the tradition of it and interpret it in a way that reflects the heritage, but I also don't want it to be museum music. I want it to still breathe and be alive, which I think is along the lines of what you're saying. So we've got a bunch of guitar geeks with us here because I contacted everybody I know that plays. So I've got a couple of real guitar geek questions for you on technique.
Okay, good.
I tend to do more Piedmont stuff, which is the double thumbing, where you've got that bottom solid rhythm going.
Right.
But when you're playing Delta blues, you're out there. There's no net underneath you. You don't have that ongoing rhythm thing. It seems like you're really breaking things up. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between those two styles?
Well, Piedmont blues, ragtime East Coast blues, three names for the same kind of genre, was all influenced by Joplin's piano rags, basically. In 1900, Scott Joplin published the Maple Leaf Rag and sold 1 million copies of the sheet music, not recorded music, 1 million copies of the sheet music in a country that only had 75 million people and change counted in the census that year. This is an astonishing success, and people were dancing to ragtime all over the country, and those dance styles moved into the juke joints, and folk and black guitar styles followed the ragtime piano styles. So you have this steady bass, pretty square thumb in the bass, and then a syncopated high part. This was originally called raggedy time music. You got shortened to rags. But raggedy as in get your raggedy feet off my couch, take off that raggedy dress and put on something nice. We're going out, not clean, not tidy, not neat, not where it belongs. And the right-hand piano rhythms, the high strings on the guitar, were syncopated against a steady beat. So the steady bass part is the clean and tidy part. And God knows what's happening up high, and that's what makes it so much fun to play. But those cross rhythms in the high part, you wind up with two rhythms at once, one in the bass, and then one in the high string. When you take John Hurt's music or any of these Piedmont things and pull the pitch out of it, you hear an African drum section in your hand. Those rhythms are right there.
That is interesting. It never occurred to me, but that makes a lot of sense.
Well, just play one of your pieces, one of your ragtime pieces, and then just kill the strings and keep playing the figures with your right hand, and you'll hear it. I mean, it just sounds like African drums. It's cool.
Huh. Incredible.
And
all right, one more guitar.
Go ahead. The Delta style is an older style that's more closely related to Africa and less influenced by early 20th century piano music, and it's got this kind of loping groove to it. And you'll notice in Robert Johnson's playing and mine and other people is that rhythm, that it's a 12/8 rhythm. It's 1 2 3 1 2 3. It's a quarter note and eighth note triplet. And that little swing, not square eighths, although you often see it written that way if you look at written music, but it's meant to swing. And it is really 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 like that. And that groove is crazy deep. And there may be 5 beats in a measure, there may be 3. There may, it can be open field running in terms of that, but it's a dance music and it's meant to be danced to.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about when I say you're flying without a net. That standard box-like rhythm of Piedmont is kind of the security blanket in my mind. And I took years to get that steady. Then years later, I realized I had to break that habit to try and go in other directions. Took a while. I'll tell you what.
Go listen to Reverend Gary Davis's music if you want to. Talk about breaking habits and every single one of those things is a guitar arrangement with specific and very amazing bass notes. It's not a pattern in any way. Every single bit of it's an arrangement, and his facility was remarkable. Really, really great.
Wow. Okay, one last guitar geek question. Are you using, what gauge strings are you running, and is your action jacked up at all for slide on the National?
No, the action is neither as low as you would like it for fingerstyle nor as high as a slide guitar might like it. When I fly, I take that guitar, and I leave the expensive wooden guitars at home. And so it's a medium sort of action. I do use medium gauge strings on that guitar, and having a little something else to push against is important. And with that guitar, I can tune it up to A and up to E, and that string tension also provides something to set the slide against and get a lot of sound out of. Gauges of strings are really important in cleaning up the sound of slide guitar. And you can play on light gauge strings, but you just have to play a lot quieter.
Yeah.
When you pull on the string of the guitar, it has to stay in contact with the slide. If you pull it out away from the front of the guitar, it goes like this. And every time it separates and comes back, it loses sustain. So the harder you play a string when you play slide guitar, the less sound you're going to have to work with. So you have to find a place where you can play it transversely in the string plane so it'll vibrate like this and not like that. And get as much sustain and sound out of it as you can by keeping it in contact with the slide. It's a very tricky style. Millimeters matter.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that. Is the National flat fingerboard or radius?
It was built with a flat fingerboard, and for years I played it that way. I sent it to National when somebody screwed it up, and I had to have a new fingerboard put on it, and they put a heavily radius fingerboard on it, and that infuriated me because that's not what I sent them.
Yeah.
And I've gradually, finally, I've gone through the frets. Being Scottish, I wasn't going to throw away perfectly good frets, so I spent a couple of years playing through those frets, and then I had them pulled, and I had the fingerboard. It's very, very gently radius now, and it's much, much better. I want 3 or 4. I want 4 notes, maybe 5, when I put the slide on the guitar. And with a radius fingerboard, your slide's only going to get to 3 or 4 of those, or 2 at a time. And so, with a little bit flatter one, you've got a little more control. You can get more sound out of it. So I prefer a more gently radius fingerboard, if not a flat one.
Yeah, I've played with flats. The green guitar I opened up with a National Tricone is a fairly recent one, 2003 maybe, and I sent it to National and had to put a flat fingerboard on it. But I'm doing full across the neck slides a lot of times and playing all 6 strings bottled as I change through chords and do like a pattern pick. So for me, that's really, really critical.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. I have had more fun with you tonight, Scott. I got to tell you, this has been a real pleasure. We've got time to just ask you to do one more song. Let me remind folks once again that you are listening to Hickory Ridge Concerts Virtual and watching us as well. We will be back in February, on February the 20th, with Sunday and Mr. Gossel, great players. They are described as Chet Atkins meets Billie Holiday at a cocktail party. Great players. This woman has an incredible voice. We hope you will join us for that one. I myself will be doing another live stream this Wednesday. Go figure. I booked it for January the 20th. Who knew? But it is, and this is the best part, Lost Songs of the Civil War. So actually, these are, in fact, lost songs. Many years ago, I had the opportunity to perform in a museum, and I always get private tours afterwards, which I just love. And I was shown a letter from a Civil War soldier with lyrics to a song that they had made up. And I eventually was able to transcribe that and figure out all the words. They didn't have a melody. It turns out it was the melody of Wait for the Wagon. So I'm going to be performing a whole series of songs along those lines that were basically camp songs from Civil War soldiers, some of which have never been heard since the Civil War. That's 7 o'clock on Chris Vallillo YouTube. Actually, it's going to be Chris Vallillo Facebook and the Abraham Lincoln National Heritage Area YouTube channel. So hope you can join us for that one. Again, thanks to Brandon O'Sullivan, who keeps us sounding good. And Brandon, kudos to you, my friend. And Two Rivers Arts Council. So, Scott, could you take us out with one more?
Sure. This is a song I wrote in 2008. And it's on this froggy bottom with the old German spruce on the top. And I'm in open C tuning. This is the true story of a migrant who was lost in the Sonoran Desert in 2007. Her name was Gracia Cruz, and, well, this is her story. I go to the market in the town I was born. It's full of cheap clothes from China and American corn. But we have a small farm that we water with tears. How can we compete? The gringo farms are so big. Now we cannot stay here. And why would I leave the land that I love? Consuelo, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. So we pay the coyote. We rode in the van. We walked in the desert, lost in this land. Her feet were so blistered that she could not go on. When I left her, I kissed her. When I came back, she was gone. And why did we leave the land that we love? Consuela, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. Who cares if your markets are free? Look what you've done to my wife and me. Who cares if your markets are free? Jesus was a poor man who suffered and died. A crown of thorns, spear in his side. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. But I'm sorry, my friend, when we come to the end, how can we say that of you? And why would we leave the land that we love? Consuelo, Rosalita, Mama y Papa. My grandfather's bones are up on the hill. If it weren't for low wages, I'd be living there still. Who cares if your markets are free? Look what you've done to my wife and me. Who cares if your markets are free? Thank you once again for joining us this evening. Chris, Brandon, great to be with you.
Scott, what a pleasure. What a pleasure indeed. Well, friends, you have been listening to Hickory Ridge Concerts Virtual. I'm Chris Vallillo, your host. You can support us through donations at the links which are in the chat. And we'll catch you next time around in February. Scott, safe travels to you. And I can't wait to the day when we can sit down together, swap a few tunes.
Yeah, I hope so too. All the best now.
Okay.
Be safe.
So long, everybody.